Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our webinar this afternoon, which is going to take you through the fabulous software product that is Microsoft OneNote. My name is Anne-Maree Kerr. I run a training business called AMK Training and Consulting, and I am presenting this webinar today on behalf of Leap down in Penrith, one of the world's most fabulous NGOs. I'm very proud to be presenting on their behalf today. I am presenting from home today, and I don't normally, but I have my lovely little doggo here with me, Kelly. So if you hear any grumbles, barks, or other weird little noises, I do apologise. She tends to have a bit of a noise whenever anyone walks past, or she thinks she hears someone. So hopefully she'll behave herself for the next hour or so. And what we're going to be taking you through today is just a series of tiny little practical examples of how Microsoft OneNote can help you in your day-to-day. It can assist with your productivity, the ability to gather information and keep it all in one place, share it with other people, collaborate with other people. There are so many facets to OneNote that it's an almost impossibility to take you through everything, but hopefully over the next hour or so, I'll be able to help you out. Sorry guys, just hopefully you guys can still hear me. I've just had someone else try to log in as me, and it's having a little bit of an impact. Someone who's on chat, can you just maybe have a quick yes or a no or a maybe if you can still hear me here? That would be awesome. Awesome. Fantastic. Thanks so much, guys. Okay, so let's get started. So let's just kick off with some basics. What is OneNote? So it's an electronic version of a paper notebook. You can capture notes, thoughts, ideas, reminders, and other information. How you go about utilizing this tool is going to be so unique to you. Some people love things being incredibly organized, and they have a very set structure and a very clear idea of how they're going to be working things like that out. For others, it's a little bit more freeform. It's all about drawings and handwriting and throwing in some photographs or diagrams, or it could be a combination of both. I think that's where Microsoft have done a really great job here. They have built a tool that really caters to all types of people and is going to give you the freedom to tailor it to your own specific needs. If we have a look at OneNote just at a quick glance, I'm going to be taking you through all 6 of these ideas. First of all, it's there to help you organize. So you're organizing content utilizing notebook sections and pages, and we'll take you through what that looks like. It also utilizes a feature called tags. I really don't think a lot of people who use OneNote use this feature enough. It's a way to say, this piece of information is something I need to do, or this piece of information is important and it's something I need to do, or it's a phone number, or it's a movie I'd like to watch one day. By tagging information in your notebooks, and this is very much a habit that we build as we use the product, you can then search them later on down the track. So you can actually have 17 projects on the go, probably not out of the question for some of us. And you might have varying to-do features that you have listed in each of those projects. By searching for the to-do tag, all of those might show up in one sort of combined space. So it's allowing you to organize on so many different levels. You've also got the ability to ink your notes. You can draw, you can handwrite, you can do all of those things. And depending on what kind of device you use will depend on the, the success, I suppose, of that one. Has the ability to bring in lots of different media. You can have audio notes, you can have online videos in there, you can add files that you're working on so that everything is in one place. You've also got the ability to clip and save. So there are web clippers available. So when you are researching or pulling together information for something, you can see a bit of information on a website, that you think you're going to use, and the web clipper can actually bring that down, put it into the notebook where that needs to be, and then you've got that information on hand, offline, and on all of your devices as well. It's not just in one place. And you can also share. So OneNote is at its heart a collaborative tool. So you can share an entire notebook with your team and you can all access that. You could share the family shopping list with your family so that people can add to it throughout the week. There are so many ways that you can use this feature. One thing I'll cover off, only because it can get incredibly confusing, and even today I had a bit of a moment. I had a bit of a, why is this not giving me what I think it's going to give me? So basically there's the free version. So the free version of Microsoft OneNote basically appears on all of your mobile devices. So if you have an iPad, an iPhone, a Samsung, a Galaxy Note, a Google phone, pretty much any phone or tablet where you can install apps, OneNote is going to be available for free for you, which is absolutely fantastic. There are also free versions available for both Macintosh and PC computers, which is great. And then there's the version of OneNote that is available if you have an Office 365 subscription. So you or your company or your organization are paying for Office 365, you'll get a slightly different version of OneNote. The audio tracking that I'll show you a little bit later, this does seem to be a feature that only shows up if you're paying for Office 365. But what has changed, and it has changed very, very recently, is that OneNote is no longer being given to people as part of their Office programs. So when we think about things like PowerPoint and Excel, OneNote used to very much be a part of that. So you would have OneNote 2016 and OneNote 2019, which, believe it or not, is already hitting out there. What they've done is they have taken OneNote away from that package of programs. So if you're updating or perhaps installing Office for the first time on your computer, you'll actually find that OneNote won't appear. You do need to download that separately. This seems to be a very strategic decision that Microsoft have made to separate out OneNote, and they've actually made it part of Windows as opposed to part of the Office program. It does mean it's pretty much free for everybody, but you will need a Microsoft account regardless of which version you're using. So you might have a Microsoft account with an Office 365, or you might just have a freebie version of a Microsoft Office account. Either way, you're going to be able to download and utilize OneNote all over the place. The important thing is sign into them all, your phone, your tablet, your computer, sign into them all with the same account, and that way your notes are going to synchronize across all of your devices. So this is where OneNote is available. It is available on PCs, Macs, all the iOS devices, including the Apple Watch. So you can actually add notes while you're out and you might only have your Apple Watch with you. Same with Android, it's available on all of them. And if you happen to be on someone else's computer and you need to access your notes or you need to pull up a really important bit of information, onedrive.live.com, and you can sign in with your Microsoft account and access and use OneNote as if it was an app on your computer. So we'll kick off with the organise component of OneNote, and just some quick notes, and then I'll take you over to some live demonstrations. So notebooks in OneNote consist of three main components. We have the notebook themselves, we have sections, and we have pages. If you've never used OneNote before, you've never signed in, they do create a blank one for you. You can create new notebooks at any stage and from any device that you like. And you can have as many notebooks as you want. When I take you into my OneNote in a sec, you're going to see I have lots and I use them for all different sorts of things. Each new notebook is going to just contain a single blank section or a single section that has a single blank page in it, and you can add to that as we go. So let's scoot across to OneNote and we'll just get this going. So this is my OneNote app on my Macintosh. So I'll make that very clear just to start off with. I am using a Mac here today. I woke up this morning to the wonderful realization that at some point Windows has been wiped off my Mac, and there wasn't the time to fix that. So we're using the Mac version today. But the idea of Microsoft separating out OneNote from Office is partly to do with making these look the same on every device. So regardless of whether you are on a Mac, an iPad, a PC, this should start looking really, really similar no matter what you're on. And I think the plan is to get them as similar as possible. So running down the left-hand side here, we have my notes. And we also have, so all different sorts of notebooks. Now this actually isn't all my notebooks. So I actually have more ones here that I haven't got open at the time. And I am probably well overdue for a huge cleanup, which is going to, try and, get rid of some of the stuff I haven't used in a long time. So I have things, I have a very simple AMK stuff. That's where I sort of dump in my not really related to anything. I have shopping lists. I have a notebook for my, another business that I have. And I also have things like, websites I'm working on, any plans I have to create. There's a whole range of stuff. I have a journal here. Oh, hang on. I've just got a quick question. Sorry, guys. Just going to answer this one. Okay, I've got someone just having some issues with audio. I'm just answering their question there. And each one of those, so if we have a look at the productivity seminar notebook, it has three sections. It has overview, new section 1, which I need to rename, and notes and ideas. And then each one of those then has pages. So this is sort of the hierarchy that we have in our notebooks. You can create a notebook. So you can see down here, I have, add a notebook, add a section, add a page. If I was to use the add a notebook feature, let's pick a color, any color, and I'll call this sample and click on create. You can see there that the notebook has been created. It's been created with a new blank section and a new blank page. Now I can rename these sections really easily, and I do encourage you to name things really, really well. It makes it so much easier further down the track. So if I choose rename, I could call this one test page, being very super creative. And then the page itself, I just name by putting information up here. And then that becomes the name of my page. I can create new pages at any time. Okay, and we just continue that process. So when you're thinking about what sort of notebooks you'll need to create, you think about the different areas of your life, the different facets of your job, the different projects you're working on. And ideally what you would have is a notebook for each project or a notebook for each team. And what that allows is it does allow you to then share with the appropriate people. It allows all the information about that to be contained, and that tends to work really, really well for most people. Now, I'm not going to go into too much detail in sort of the, just adding information bit here. It's really basic. If you've ever typed, you're pretty much good to go. Probably the one big difference is this space, this canvas, as they call it, it's free form. So the whole starting in the top left-hand corner and working down that we've gotten used to with things like Microsoft Word, that doesn't really apply with OneNote. So I can actually click down here if I want to type. I can click over here if I want to type. I do have formatting tools, so I can, make things pretty. I can, do all sorts of things. I can also insert all sorts of things into my page. So I can put in, a table, for example, if I wanted to get a little bit organized. I can pick that up, and again, I can move that wherever I want. All of these little guys are their own little standalones, which is, it's really freeing because you can move things around. If things change priority, you've got the capacity to do that, which is really, really great. You can also insert files. So if there is some information that you need to include here, you can click on the file button. It will let you browse, and I'll just really quickly pick on something and click on that, and it will put that file in there, so I can now access that and open that. Just had a quick question. I am going to look at all the questions later. I've just had a quick question about tagging with due dates. I'll come to that a little bit later on. That's a great question. You can also insert PDFs. Now, this is a really interesting one because you can see how the graphic's gone in there. It's sort of gone in. I can click on a view icon, which will sort of open it up and show it to me, but I'm not actually seeing the information. When you insert a PDF, and hopefully I've just got one here I can quickly grab. Yep, that's one there. When I click on insert, it'll take a little bit longer, because what it's actually going to do, it's actually going to dump the entire PDF page by page in here. So I can actually read it from within OneNote. I can do all sorts of things here. You can see it is taking, this is actually a 57-page document. It's actually just thrown all of that into my note that I can then access and work with. And I can also annotate it. So I can click here and say, I like this cover, for example. Okay, so it lets you, draw all over it, and we'll get to that in a sec. There's some really great features. You can also throw pictures in. Okay, so we can do that. And you can put hyperlinks in there as well. I'm going to show you a much, much better way to do that. Date and time. What I didn't point out, but when you create a new notebook, it does timestamp it for you. So I created this at 1:14 on Monday, 22nd of October. You can actually stamp other things. So if you come in a little bit later on and you want the date and time, it'll actually stamp that there for you, and then you can write your note under it. So that's a good way of really quickly just saying, yep, this is when I added that bit of information, or this is when that, moment of inspiration came to me. So that's what those little features there are for. As far as working with your notes, I'm just going to come into this one here. Here's another notebook that I set up earlier. So this is in planning for a workshop I'm running in a couple of weeks on using mobile graphic apps. So I'm starting to lay out the structure of what I want to cover and what I want my notes to include. So I've put the 3 different products that I'm thinking of talking about at this workshop, and what each of them have are some pages. So I've got, the 6 different areas, or 5 different areas, I can probably get rid of that one, that I'm going to be covering for each particular one. Now, if I want to add another section, so let's just say I've thought of another product that I want to use. Now I need to think of one. What have I got there? I'll use Magisto. Okay, so this is a little graphic video app that you can use. What I can actually do is I can actually highlight, I'm just clicking and dragging all of these pages that I've got for this particular section, and I can copy the pages I can browse to, you can see how many pages of notes I've got. I can go to my Magisto section and hit copy. What that's done for me is it's now given me all of those pages. So what I'm making sure here is that I've got a lot of consistency running throughout my sections. And when you're working on a project that has a whole lot of different areas, that's a really quick and easy way to go, yep, I need the same amount of information or the same type of information for each one. So that works really, really well. Other organizational techniques that you've got there, and I'm just right-clicking here, which is really nice, is I can rename. So if you further down the track realize you've given something a really inappropriate or not a very helpful name, you can do that. You can copy a link to a page. You can move them. There's a few different things you can do there. The idea about the copying the link is really great, because what that allows you to do is basically create an internal hyperlink structure. So I can copy a link to that page. I can come across to a completely different notebook. I'll go down to that little sample one I created earlier, and I can paste that in. So you can see there, that's pricing, and you can see the traditional blue, the underline, info from Canva workshop, for example. Making up stuff as I go along here, guys. And what that is I can click on that and it'll take me straight there. I haven't had to redo information. I haven't had to copy and paste entire swaths of information, because the challenge you have there, if you've got information that needs to be accessed from lots of different places, if you copy and paste the information itself, if it's out of date in one place, it's out of date everywhere. And then you need to update it in all those different places. If you use the copy link, you can absolutely, just have information storing. Calvin's just asked, can you link to websites? And you absolutely can. You can do that in lots of different ways. You can use the web clipper. You can just copy and paste. So for example, if I jump across to Chrome, I'm going to come back and show you a really cool YouTube one in a sec. And if I go to, sorry, my little tags just getting in the way here. Bring that down a little bit. If I click on that and copy that link, I can come back across to YouTube. Yeah, back to YouTube. I can come back across to OneNote and just throw the link in there, which is really great. And it does just give you the link. You can see that's that information. Give me a couple of minutes and I'll show you the web clipper, which works really well. You can do some really great stuff with it. So that's the layout feature. So I'm going to show you the tagging feature now, which is really great. And basically what these allow you to do is to format individual parts of notes so that you can access them easily, you can search them, and you just click inside a note and choose a tag. So what these guys are, let's go back in here. And I'm going to come over to my productivity seminar. You can see how easily you can jump through notes as well. All I'm literally doing here is just, jumping from one note. I'm never hitting save as well. I never have to hit save in OneNote. Every time, every bit of information you add, it's a little bit like working on the web. You just type, you add, you control, you can do all sorts of things. So our tags are found on the home ribbon, and they sort of structure them and order them in a way that they think you're going to want to use them. So you can hit your little to-do button here, and that's literally, it just pops a little checklist on there that you can tick, you can untick. This is probably a good time to address the date component. With this new version of OneNote that they're rolling out, that feature doesn't seem to be available, unfortunately. You don't seem to be able to attach a due date, and at no point in any of my little huntings around here do I seem to have that capacity. If, however, you have OneNote 2013 or OneNote 2016 running, which is still attached to Office, OneNote will actually talk to Outlook. Unfortunately, I can't demo that because I'm on a Mac, and that would be brilliant, but no, it's not going to let me do that. But what you'll see in Outlook that's attached to Office in either 2013, or actually even going back earlier, 2010, 2013 or 2016, is you will see a little Outlook tasks drop down within OneNote. And what you can actually do there is you can flag them with, it's due tomorrow, or it's due next week, or it's due in a week. What you're actually doing in that regard is you're actually making Outlook and OneNote talk, because OneNote itself doesn't have the capacity to give you reminders, but Outlook does. So if you get the two programs talking, what you'll actually find is quite a good management system there in terms of your to-dos. I actually use a completely different to-do app. I actually use a product called Todoist, which I love. It's fabulous. It does everything I want it to do. My to-dos in OneNote are often more of a brainstorm, and then once I've got them, I'll often bring them over into something like Todoist, where I can really, schedule them and put reminders on them and do all those sorts of great things that we love doing with our to-dos. Other ones that you can see here, I've got some little address icons, some little house icons, and I also doodled a house, sorry about that. You've got the ability to do that. So when you've got an address, by tagging it with the address tag, it doesn't appear to be doing too much, but I'll get to that. Phone numbers, we've got some contact details there. Some of the other really cool ones are just, something's important, I need to remember it. Here's a website I'd like to visit. Please don't ever use password. I implore you, don't use password. Your password should not be written down in OneNote. It really isn't the most safe place to put things. But anyway, you've also got things like books to read or something I want to remember. You can see some really, really great ideas here that they've got as a way to really organize your thoughts and allow you to then, pull them up really easily. So visually, they're great. Okay, they're nice. You can sort of see things. You can absolutely add more than one. Okay, and you can see they've got different features. Some of them highlight the text itself. But what's really great, and where I really think this feature comes into its own, is using the Control F or Command F, depending on whether you're a Mac PC person, is you've got the ability to search. So this just pulls up for me, and this will look quite different depending on what platform you're using. But initially what it will want to do, it will only want to search the page you're on, okay, which is okay, but it's not great. But even with that, if I click in here and look for example, all the phone numbers, it'll go through and it pulls all of the phone numbers it's found on that page. Now, if I have phone numbers in a lot of different places, I can actually get my search to look at the section I'm in, the notebook I'm in, or even all notebooks. So, the frustration of, I know I jotted that phone number down somewhere. If you've had the pre-thought that I'm going to forget this at some point, if you just tag it with that little phone, phone number icon or that phone number tag, they'll come up no matter where they are. So they can be from anywhere in your OneNote notebooks, and you can pull that number up. Same as, I know that there was a question I had. If you've tagged your questions, just let's click on this bit of text and tag it as a question. You can look up all your questions. We've got client requests there, ways of working. So this is really clever. It's a way to just land on the information you need really, really quickly. You can also just, you don't have to search. You can also just type. You can type a word and see what it comes up with, and it will bring up all the variations, all the places that particular word has been used all throughout your notebooks. So imagine, for example, imagine being able to search all of your Word documents at once for that thing is in there somewhere. That's what OneNote lets you do, which is really, really great. Okay, so that's our tags. So yeah, you can search them as well. The current notebook is searched by default, and you can modify that as you go along. Now the inking component of OneNote is pretty cool. So you can draw, and you can handwrite. Now, to make the most of this, you need to be using a touchscreen. Now, Macs, for all of their lovely features, don't have touchscreens, but you know, I do have talking to my computer at the moment. Let's just bring him up. I have my Samsung. I'm just going to wake him up here. And sorry for the flickering. I'm going to open up OneNote. So what you'll see here is a slightly smaller but exact replication of the notebook system I've been showing you on my Mac app. So I can go into the section overview. I'm actually just going to create a new page with some notes. Now, obviously I typed that, but up the top here, I have a lovely little handwriting icon. Now I have a really, really bad stylus with me today, so this is going to be awful. But I normally have a really good one that I've just lost the tip for. You need a stylus for this to work. This is the reality. So I use what's called a Jot Not Pro. It's one of the ones with the really fine point. If you have an Apple, the Apple Pencil is really great. But basically this would let me sketch if I thought that was, you know, something that was useful. I can handwrite. Okay, apologies, this is awful. But I can potentially utilize this to, you know, if I've got, let's just say, I'll pull up this information here. Okay, I'm still drawing, but I can annotate. Okay, I can click on things. I can, you know, point to things. I can do sort of, you know, all those really cool play things that you might want to do, utilizing, you know, handwriting and arrows and drawings and all sorts of things. Now it lets you get very creative. You can, you know, change color. You know, you can do all sorts of things. You can change thickness. You can rub them out afterwards. So, you know, if that's something you think, oh, that was crazy, what was I doing that for? You can absolutely scribble that out. It's fun, you know, but it's also really handy. Now, my iPad, I use this quite a lot. Sometimes when I'm in a meeting, I just want to write, but I'm trying not to use paper. So OneNote lets me, you know, feed that need of mine not to use paper, but also allowing me to handwrite and scribble and do things, which is, you know, really handy for what I want to do. There is the ability to draw on screen. So if you do have a touch screen computer, you do get all the tools here as well: pens, markers, erasers, highlighters. You can, you know, choose thickness. That's where I was playing over here. You know, you can do all sorts of things, but with a mouse, you know, it's not going to be brilliant. So we tend not to utilize that one quite so much. So that's the handwriting and the ink component, which is really great. Okay, it's got a bit of a chat here. Let me just check. Thanks, Jacqueline. See you later. Just losing Jacqueline. Okay, the mixed media. This has got some features which, again, they're not really well advertised. They just sort of exist. And if you're not aware that they're there, you could actually potentially be missing out on some really impressive features. The one that I will show you is, the first one I'll show you, is the audio recording feature. Now, if you have a look, this is up on my Insert tab in OneNote. Now, you can put audio recordings in no matter what device you have, but to utilize the syncing with text feature, you do have to be using one of the paid versions on a computer. So when I hit audio recording here, it literally starts recording, okay? You can see up here it's recording, it's picking up my level, which is great. I can stop recording if I want to, if I sort of haven't got myself quite organized enough, but I can then re-hit record. What's going to happen is I'm just going to type, okay? You really need to trust me here that I don't normally type quite so badly, but the only way to demo what is actually happening here is to get some text down pretty quickly. What's actually happening is as the audio is recording, unfortunately it will also be recording all these other little key taps, it is also synchronizing what I was talking about with what I'm typing. So sometimes when you're typing and your notes and you come back to them and it says blue one, and you think, what were we talking about when I wrote that? Why did I write blue one? Obviously, you've made a note that at the time was really important, but in hindsight and going back to it later on down the track, you've got absolutely no idea what you were talking about. What it does is your audio recording, you can play it in full. That's what these little icons are. But when you go back to your notes, you'll actually have a little play icon showing up at the top. So you can actually click, and I'll be quiet here for a sec. What's actually happening is as the audio is recording, unfortunately, okay, you might not have heard that. I think I've got the audio from my computer turned off in case it started making noises. But what it's actually done is it's playing me back the audio as I was typing that bit of text. So imagine this for meeting notes. And, you know, this is one of those really interesting ones where a lot of people go, oh, but privacy and all those things. People say what they say. And when you're writing meeting notes, it can be really hard to get everything down. As someone who's taken them, to be able to go back and actually play the conversation that was happening at that moment in time is absolute gold. And then the decision we've come to with a lot of people is we just delete the audio recording afterwards. Okay, just got another quick question. Can I cut text from OneNote and paste it into Word? Absolutely, you can. Yeah, it's straight text. There's nothing different about it. There's nothing unusual about it. It's just normal text that you're working with. So you can absolutely grab that, copy it. I haven't been cut off with audio and I've had some really long meetings. The file is obviously going to, increase in size the more audio you use. But yeah, it's just brilliant in terms of, having that backup, and then, you can click on that and get rid of it once your notes are right or once everyone's agreed that that's what was actually said, if that's something that's important to you. Now, the other thing that you can do that's sort of audio related, and I'm going to jump back to my app for this one because this is just brilliant. So here's my app. And on my Samsung phone, but you can absolutely do this on an iPhone. What you've got available to you near your keyboard is a little microphone. Not this microphone. It's very confusing. This microphone will give you an audio recording. This microphone is actually going to give you text speech. And OneNote is a great tool for doing this. And the more you do it, the better it's going to get. So when I hit this on my phone, hello, I am Anne-Maree, comma, I am recording in OneNote, full stop. Don't know why that just decided to cut me off halfway through. And now that I'm just rambling, you can see that it's behaving itself. Oh, it's baby itself. That's a bit concerning. Full stop. Okay. I'm doing that very quickly. This is brilliant. And the way I use this particular tool is I use it when I'm out and about. So if I've come out of a meeting, I jump in my car and I'm got to brain dump everything that's in my head. What I'll quite often do is this. I'll just hit that little record button and I'll just dump my brain down onto OneNote. And what's actually happening is not only is it going in there, it's also back here on my computer already. I haven't had to do anything. I haven't had to send myself a file or, get back and try and remember everything that I said. I don't have to worry about any of that stuff. And it gets good if I'm paying attention a little bit better. It does get really good at putting in things like commas and full stops and exclamation marks. So you can actually annotate to yourself and dictate to yourself all of this, really great information. I write articles for people and I write blog posts and I write social media posts. I'm starting to do them more and more often with my voice than actually typing. Not only does it allow me to utilize time where I don't have access to my computer, but I often find that the end product is better because my natural voice is coming through. I'm not trying to over edit. I'm not overthinking things too much. And I actually end up with these really, quite conversational, and particularly for things like social media and blogs, that's exactly what you want. So you can fire up a new notebook and talk to yourself for a little bit, and you'll look like a crazy person, but that's okay as well. I think we're all a little bit crazy. So that particular tool is really, really great. So we've got the ability to do the audio, we've got the audio tracking, we've got the text-to-speech, which our phones and tablets are going to allow us to do. And for some of you, your computers will let you do that as well. I just find I don't have quite as much success with that one. Now, the other little mixed media feature, see if this one's picking it up. No, it's not yet, that we have available to us is the ability for OneNote to actually extract text out of pictures for us. Now, this isn't going to be super successful with these. They're a little bit cartoony and the text, it's not brilliant. But if you think about, for example, let's just say a PDF that someone has scanned and sent to you, you really need to pull the text out of it, but you really don't want to retype it all. Or you've grabbed, a screenshot of something and there's some text in there that you want to use. Again, not having to retype this is really great. OneNote actually has a built-in OCR reader. So OCR is optical character recognition, but it does take time. And the reason I just went back to check that one, I put that in there at 10:58. It hasn't been OCR'd yet. And I can see that just by right-clicking on it, I'm actually not getting the command I'm hoping for. I have read when I got a bit panicky one day that this feature had disappeared, that it can take potentially days for the OCR to run because it's actually not happening within OneNote on your computer necessarily. It is potentially being sent off, scanned and sent back. But just to give you a feel for what it would look like and what command to look for, when you've got these pictures, you can, you're going to give it to me? There we go, there's one. When you right click, you get your normal copy, but you also get the option to copy text from picture. And so what it will do is it'll know that, it'll see that there is text in a picture. And once it's found it and once it's analyzed it, you just choose that command, come over somewhere else and paste. Okay, you can see the cartoony nature of this, it's really not coped. It has not coped very well with it. But if it's a PDF and there's actual typing, this is brilliant. It's gold. It's such a quick way of getting something. I got handed something the other day. It was a 5-page checklist. We had a printout of it. No one knew where the original one was. So I photographed it, scanned it in, and used this copy text from picture feature. And, I had to do a tiny little bit of editing, but on the whole, I really didn't have to do a lot, which was really, really great. So, yeah, it's there. Trust in it. If you're on a PC, I actually think it happens quicker. But on my Mac, I just need to be very, very patient, something I'm not great at. But it will, it'll happen eventually, and I'll be able to pull the text from that image. So we've got our recording. Okay, so that's your tracking. We've got our text from pictures. Okay, and I do have the note there that it can take minutes to hours to become active. So you just have to be very, very patient there. Okay, we're at the tail end of our features here. I've got a few more things to share with you. We've got the ability to use a clip and save feature. Now, a few of the questions today have been about pulling information from the web and how easy that is to do. Web clippers for OneNote, they are available on pretty much any browser that you might want to use. So if you're using Safari, if you're using Google Chrome, if you're using Firefox, most of them will have a web clipper that you can utilize. So I use Chrome for this one. And just need to do a quick Google search, OneNote Clipper in Chrome. It'll just come up with the link to install it. You give it your permissions and you sign in. And what then shows up is a little button over here that's got the little OneNote icon on it. And I might think that, you know, these notes here could be very useful. Sorry, I got a dodgy connection on my microphone there. And I click on that and it comes up with how do I want to clip it. So if I clip a full page, it will actually just give me the entire document, but it'll also give me all of the rubbish around it as well, the ads, the links, the weird little side bits that you see on web pages. You can do a region where it'll let you select. I love this one. I just love article. I think that one works really, really well. It cleans it all up, takes a lot of the stuff out of it. You get a lovely preview here of what it's going to look like. You can write a note to yourself, you know, here are some great ideas that can be pulled into the seminar. You can write whatever you want. You could write a quick novel there. You can even change the text up here if you wanted to. If you don't like the way it's looking, you can make a quick change. And when you hit clip, it's clipping the article. Sorry. Kel. Shh. She was doing so well, someone walked down on my deck. It's brought it across into OneNote. Now, this is actually opened up in the web app, which is great. It gives me an opportunity to show you that this is on the web. Okay, so I'm signed in. It looks exactly like it does on my computer, but it's also, it's also back here already. And just to do the lovely trifecta, here it is on my phone. Okay, so less than 2 or 3 seconds, I have it on the web, it's on my computer, it's on my phone. I've clipped out this, you know, very useful bit of information here that I can read later. I can use my drawing tool to annotate. It's just brilliant, okay? It's just got so many great features there. So yeah, that clipper is brilliant and it does allow you to really pull out that information that you're going to use. And the last little feature I want to show you is just sharing. So by default, all of your notebooks are private. You are the only one who has access to them. But there will be times when there are notebooks that you want to share and collaborate with other people. So there's 2 different ways, or 2 main ways that you can do this. You can just generate a link to your notebook. Okay, so that's the least, I was going to say restrictive, but I actually want the opposite. It's the most, it's the least restrictive. So if someone sends me a link to a OneNote file, I can then forward that link on to other people and they will also have access. So if you're putting a link out there, you're really saying this is potentially public. Other people are going to be able to access this. Or you can invite people. Okay, so then that is a little bit more secure. Only people who have gotten an invite from you. So we share in OneNote just using the file menu. So I've got the share, and you can see here the different choices I've got. So I can invite people to my notebook. I can copy a view only link. That's great when you've collated all this great information. You really just want people to look at it, but you don't want them to be able to change it. But if you do want them to change it, copy a view and edit link to notebook. So that's great. You know, imagine you're planning a holiday with friends or family. You could put all your travel itinerary, all the great ideas, all the links to the motels and the hotels, the cocktail recipes, your wardrobe, throw it all into a OneNote notebook, share it with everyone who's involved, and then they can add and, you know, put their own ideas and things in there as well. So it becomes very collaborative and a really great tool for working with everyone in your team or your family or whoever you decide. Okay. We also have some mobile apps that are available to us. And the one I wanted to show you today is Office Lens. So Office Lens is a Microsoft product as well, funnily enough, with the word Office. And it's essentially a scanner in your pocket. And it's a good scanner in your pocket. What Office Lens allows you to do, and I'll just switch back to my phone here, is it lets you choose, and this is purposely black, don't worry. Are you photographing a whiteboard? Are you photographing a document, a business card, or a photo? So it'll actually change the settings depending on what it is you're scanning. It'll also change potentially where it's going to go. So if I choose document, for example, and I just have some handwritten notes that I've taken here, I line it up, focus it, take the photo. If it hasn't got it quite right, I can crop it out. I can crop out other little bits and I can say done. I can do more than that. I'll just do the one for now. But then it says, where do you want it to go? One of the choices I have is I can put it into OneNote. And I can actually choose where I'm going to save that. So it's coming up and it's saying, here are all your notebooks. There's that productivity seminar. I want to put it into the notes and ideas. And it'll actually save it as a page within that section. When I hit save, I didn't rename it. I probably should have, but for this argument's sake. And what it will do there, I'll just let it run, is it will transfer that across. So what should happen very, very quickly, you'll have a bit of a think, it'll synchronize down, and that picture I just took will appear here as a page. Doesn't want to happen as quickly as I want it to. Now I can actually force it to synchronize. So I'm just going to come up to my file menu and just say sync this notebook. It's just sort of trying to speed up what was going to happen naturally anyway. And there it is there. Okay, so there's the picture I just took with Office Lens, brought into my notebook. I've been able to place it exactly where I want that to be. So it's giving me that option that, when I'm out and about, I've only got my phone, I need to, quickly photograph something or grab something, a whiteboard at a presentation. It's giving me that option and it's letting me do it all within the one. And you can see it's pretty clear, it's a good camera phone. It's doing a really great job. So the combination of OneNote with Office Lens is just a really great pairing. Okay. We have a little bit of time for some questions. So you can use the chat feature to ask any questions. Let me just see if I've forgotten. Okay, it looks like we've had most of the questions asked that people wanted today. Now, if you would like some more information, I'm actually going to be putting up a link a little bit later to a full manual that I use in my OneNote training. It's got a lot more detail. It's based on the OneNote 2016 version, but a lot of the features will still apply. So if you wanted to have a reference further down the track, the best place to get this is from my Facebook page, which is AMK Consulting on Facebook. And just in the next hour or so, keep an eye out if you've got the opportunity to scoot on over to AMK Training and Consulting on Facebook, and I will put a link in there to the full manual. And the webinar will be available for viewing at a later date. And for those of you who have registered, I believe that the link does get sent through to you. You'll also be asked for some feedback in the future. And if there is any information or anything that you would like to see a webinar on, we'd love to hear from you. We're running quite a few of these over the next few months. And, it's a great resource that Leap are providing for the community to be able to access them. Does 2019 have any advantages over 2016 is a question that just got asked. Actually, I'd probably say no. In actual fact, I think Microsoft are going backwards a little bit with this one. Yeah, I can't see anything that's there. What they're calling Office 2019 is really just the standalone installation. I think Microsoft are very much moving most of us over to the subscription model with Office 365. So what they're calling Office 2019, you're installing the standalone product, but you're also not getting any of the continual updates either. So, I don't necessarily think that there's some great advantages there. Okay, guys. Well, thank you very, very much for your attendance today. Thank you to Leap for hosting this webinar. My name's Anne-Maree, and I look forward to seeing you all at our next webinar, which from memory is on using Trello. Trello is a great project management tool that, again, it's a freebie and it's really easy to use. It's across all devices. So if you think OneNote's good, join us for Trello, and you'll actually see that they'll talk to each other as well, which is really, really great. Okay, guys, have a wonderful afternoon, and I'll see you soon.